Welcome to Do the Dang Thing podcast with Chrissy Sperduto, the podcast that's like having a personal action-taking coach in your pocket, giving you bite-sized tips and small mindset shifts every week. I'm your host, Chrissy Sperduto. I'm a network marketer turned action-taking coach for business owners who grew her businesses while holding down a successful career in aviation. I'm on a mission to help you fit your business into your everyday life because I believe you are capable of doing some pretty amazing things no matter how chaotic your life is. Consider me your no-nonsense business BFF, helping you learn how to get it all done quicker, easier, and with way less mental drama. Join me here on the podcast each week where we'll chat everything from systems to help you fit your business into real life, to business tips, plus time management hacks, mindset shifts to help you find the courage to take that next step in your business, and real life experts to inspire and empower you to go after your goals. Let's go, CEO. We have work to do. Grab your favorite cup of coffee or wine, no judgment here, and get ready to ditch those inner mean girl thoughts ringing in the back of your head so you can embrace your inner badass and go do the dang thing. Welcome back to the Do the Dang Thing podcast. Today we are diving into a topic that I am so excited about. I think it's one that many of us face, and it is balancing a full-time job while running a business. And I'm thrilled to have a very special guest with me here today. Coach Lee is with us. She is a productivity expert and fellow full-time professional, and she is here to share the nuts and bolts of how to make juggling it all work. Coach Lee, it is so fantastic to have you here. Before we jump into our main discussion, please, can you tell us about your two lives? One is a criminal defense attorney? Like craziness.
Yes, thank you for having me. I am Coach Lee, criminal defense attorney by day, productivity and accountability coach, like I like to say throughout. I have been an attorney since 2013. No, yes, 2013. The three always throws me off. Yes, this will be 12 years. I've been an attorney since 2013, and then this coaching business started during the pandemic of having quote unquote too much time on my hands when the world shut down and I couldn't go to trial. So yeah.
That's so fun. My network marketing business kind of took off in the pandemic too, because I was sitting at home going, well, what do I do now?
Exactly.
There's some of us that you just can't get to sit still, right?
Exactly. Literally. Yes.
Yeah. So for our listeners, Coach Lee and I met during a co-working session that one of our friends hosts twice a month. Shout out to Nikki from Blakely Co. Her co-working sessions are always a highlight of my week on the weeks that she has them. And the funny part was during this co-working session, Coach Lee was on her lunch break and I was at Starbucks. I was knocking out tasks between meeting my husband for lunch and heading into work in the afternoon. So I found it very interesting that even though the two of us both have super full plates, we both made time for this call. Do you find that there's a connection between the busier people making time for it versus not?
Yes, because you make time for what's important. And I think the busier you get, the more intentional you are with your time, whether that be the things you're saying yes to, when you're saying yes to them, and like how you're fitting it in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. You make time for the things that are the most important. And so for you, what are those things that are the most important?
For me, working out, non-negotiable. Getting my walk in. Meal prepping. Well, I meal prep so that I don't have to worry about cooking every day because food is life. And if I'm hangry, you don't want to meet that side of me. So therefore, if I meal prep, I'll have food every day. And I mean, those are, I would say, the main three things. Obviously, my job, and then being able to pour into people in terms of like my coaching business. But like my non-negotiables each day or each week are meal prep, doing my workout, going for a walk, and planning for the week ahead based off of what specifically is happening that week between full-time job, coaching business, and just overall life.
I love that so much. And do you find that when you do those things, when you walk, when you work out, when you go for a walk, or I already said walk, when you meal prep, that you feel better and you're able to show up differently?
Yes, I can tell when I don't do them and I figure out a way to do them. So for example, like if you're traveling, oftentimes, I mean, obviously you can travel during the week, but my meal prep day is always Saturday mornings. So if I'm traveling and going out of town or coming back into town, I'm always like, when am I going to get my meal prep in? I either try to meal prep extra the week before and freeze it, or do like an earlier meal prep on like a Wednesday or a Thursday before I leave to go out of town to be prepared. And then typically if I'm flying on the way back, I'm at the airport doing my brain dump for the week so I can do my to-do list so that once I get home, because typically I come back on Sunday and then I'm going to work on Monday, I have a game plan for how it's looking up. If I can't get a walk and a workout in, I need at least one of them. Preferably both, but if I can't get both, one of them has to happen.
I love that. Yeah, I've definitely ordered Instacart while sitting on the plane, getting ready for takeoff, and scheduled it. So it arrived when I arrived home from the airport. I am a big fan of that. Do you Instacart?
No, I love to go into the grocery store and look at the food and touch the food. But like I also I go grocery shopping once a month. So I make a menu for the month, make a grocery list based off of what's missing and I don't have in between the refrigerator, the pantry, the freezer. And then I go grocery shopping based off of that. Obviously, yes, some fruits last longer than other fruits. So obviously, like when I buy bananas, I start with the bananas, then go to like the apples, then like the oranges or the grapefruits if they're in season. Those like I eat them based off how long they last, like their shelf life, so to speak. Same thing with the fresh vegetables.
Wow, that is so, so impressive. Okay, let's shift gears just a little bit. So Coach Lee and I, once we started to get to know each other, we both realized that we were the kidless coaches, and we got to have a couple fun conversations in the DMs about that. It seems like it is such a hot button topic, and people are like one extreme or the other. So the rhetoric that I see, or at least that my algorithm points me towards, is that moms in particular are adamant that they will not hire coaches that don't have kids because we don't get it. I don't subscribe to that. And I'm going to guess that you don't either, Coach Lee.
No, I don't. And I'm actually thinking like, I guess it's been about a 50-50 or maybe a 75-25. Most of my clients haven't had children now that I think about it, but I've also had ones who have had children. So it's just about what's important to you. I think it's kind of the same philosophy if we flip it as coaches. The coaches who only work their business, like who don't have 9 to 5s or, whatever hours it is, whether your schedule is per se 9 to 5, those who work full time and also have a coaching business or another business versus those who are solely in their business. Like, will you only hire a coach who is full time in their business or who isn't full time in their business and does something else? I think it's just about your perspective and what it is that you're looking to ultimately gain from them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I never really considered when I went to go hire a coach whether they have kids or whether they had a full-time job or were like working in their business the full time. So that like when people are so adamant and that they're saying, "Oh, I will not hire a coach that's not a mom because they don't understand." I'm like, "Do we? Do we not understand?" And I wonder, I'm also curious, like, can someone like us that don't have kids still hold space for people that have kids and still
Yeah.
help them come up with their game plan?
Yeah, because I'm thinking about the last client that I worked with. She had like 3 kids, and one I think was special needs. She was a full-time attorney as well and had just left and went like in the private practice. So she's driving to 3-4 different counties every day. Yeah, I think you can. If you know, again, if you know what it is that you want, then you know how to get it. If you're like, I see you do all these things, maybe one of those things isn't have a kid, but I see you doing 50,000 different things, which could just as easily be a kid that has you running around doing these 50,000 different things. Why not? I
Yeah.
think and I know you're a mindset coach. I think it's the mindset. Like, what are your thoughts or your beliefs behind it?
Yeah. As I will say, well, that's a thought.
Right. Never something I thought about until we had the conversation, and then and having the conversation now, like, oh, who would have thunk?
Yeah. Yeah, like why is that like that? Why is that the big deal? But anyways, do you think that there might actually be an advantage to hiring a coach that doesn't have kids if you are a mom? So for our moms out there, do you think that there might actually be like an advantage or like we look at things a little bit differently that could help moms?
Yeah, I think the advantage would be, or a way to look at something is like, okay, how did you do this before kids? Because sometimes when people have kids, like they forget their pre-mom life, and so they can't remember, how did I meal prep? How did I go shop? How did I get my workout in when I didn't have a kid? And now, kind of like me, when I started my business, my whole excuse for why I didn't start a coaching business before was I didn't have time. But once the world slowed down and I added coaching in, as the world opened up, I was still able to go back to doing a lot of the things that I was doing before that I still had the desire to, now that I've created space and capacity in my schedule. So I think the advantage could be we have that outside lens of like what's important to you. I'm not saying your kid isn't important, but are you doing all these things because you feel like you have to? And I know even when you did your when we were doing the do the dang thing challenge, like what can you delegate? What can you outsource? Like what can you get off of your plate? And sometimes you need that bird's eye view or that step back of someone to say, here's a different way. Have you thought about this one? Here's
Yeah.
a thought.
Have you thought about a chore chart for your kids and taking all of those things off of your plate? I was coaching someone not that long ago, and she was like, I have to do all these things. I have to get these packages out. And I said, well, do you have to be the one to do it? Or could your 10-year-old daughter be the one to go stick these sticky labels on these packages? Like, yeah, you're gonna have to help her, but you have a whole extra set of hands. You can get it just done so much faster. And she was like, you're right. I hadn't even thought about that. So I think with any coach, we can just see things differently than you can when you're just thinking about yourself and how you've always done things.
Exactly.
Okay, Coach Lee, can you share some key strategies for scheduling and planning that have worked for you and for balancing your full-time job with your business?
Brain dump, to-do list, schedule it out. So like I was using the example of like when I go out of town, like I need to do a brain dump to figure out what do I think I need to do this week. And sometimes those thoughts aren't like immediately. They're things that are in my head that I'm thinking that I need to do. And so then once I turn it into a to-do list and schedule it out, sometimes I'm like, okay, this doesn't have to be done this week. This is a this month problem, or schedule it out further. And so those would be like three things. I do a brain dump every week. I turn that brain dump into a to-do list based off of my calendar and capacity. So like if I'm going to be in trial this week for work, I know that being in trial can mean I don't leave work at 5 o'clock, which means I don't get home at 6:10, 6:15 like I normally do when I leave work on time. So I make sure that as I'm scheduling things, either I'm putting things that are okay to move. If I get stuck in trial, I'm not putting a non-negotiable on a day that I'm gonna be in trial. Like if I'm like, okay, this is a 3 or 4 day trial, I'll make it more of a Thursday, Friday problem to where the trial is gonna be done. So doing the brain dump, turning that into a to-do list, but most importantly, looking at my calendar as I'm scheduling out the things that I'm saying that I want to get done and understanding what to want to do, need to do, or have to do within those rankings.
So smart. This sounds a lot like the Do the Dang Thing challenge.
Exactly. That's why I was like, I feel like I'm doing this already, and I jumped ahead.
You had the answer key to the test before you even did it. I love it. Coach Lee, do you have any tools or resources that have helped you or your clients manage, kind of manage your time and like get all the things done?
I mean, besides you telling them to do those three things and walking them through doing those three things, sometimes like with the clients, like when they're like, I don't know what I don't have a schedule. Like I can help them build a schedule. So we create like a schedule that's like, this is your, I guess, your master schedule. These are the things that don't move every day and happen at the same time of day every day, like whether that's church, work, standing appointments or whatever, getting all those things like on the calendar and be like, this is the free space that you have. What things do you need to get done on this free space? You can either change this up every week, or you can use it as the master calendar, and then you from there, as each week happens, like you kind of plug and play and just adjust it. Because like even for me, for the most part, my schedule is the same. The hours that I have to do things in those things might be what changed. Like that, the task that's occurring within that free time might change, but my hours and my schedule, generally speaking, is the same Sunday through Saturday every week.
Mm-hmm. Do you use like Google Calendar or like a task management system? Or I'm a big fan of Trello. I know a lot of people are on the Notion craze right now. Do you recommend any like of those digital tools?
I use Asana. I love Asana. I tried Trello. Trello and Asana are very similar, but there was, to me, Asana, like the free version of Asana had a few more things that like the free version of Trello did. I tried Notion. I went down a rabbit hole of YouTube videos, and I'm like, this is too freeing for me. I need a little bit more structure, i.e., the structure side of me. So Notion was too freeing because you're able to build it so much from custom for yourself that it wasn't for me. I recommend Asana, but when I first am starting to work with someone, I'm just like, what do you currently use for your calendar? Let's start there. Pen and paper, digital calendar. Like, let's start with what you're already using to build this and make it work for you before you start branching out into all these other things, because oftentimes that's where a lot of that overwhelm can come into play.
That's awesome. Are you a pen and paper or digital only?
Both.
You're both. Oh,
Yeah.
tell me more about that.
I have a paper calendar. And then I have my phone calendar, which when I look at it in overview mode, I can see like my work, my business, and my personal calendar. They're just in different colors. So I guess in that sense, a Google Calendar. And then digitally, I use Asana to keep track of like that master to-do list and what days I'm saying to do it. And then I also just write it on paper. So for me, I start out head to paper, paper to Asana, and then because I can pull up Asana on my computer at work to see like what specific things am I saying I'm doing this week in case I'm not around my physical paper calendar.
I do the same exact thing. Like we could copy and paste. Mine's just Trello instead of Asana. I love to have my Google Calendar because I have it with me always. It's on my phone, it's on my iPad, it's on my laptop. And then do a kind of a mind dump. I do my mind dump on notes because I'm way
Mm-hmm.
faster at typing than I am at handwriting. But I love the idea of just like free writing onto a piece of paper. Like, what are all the things that are taking up brain space? And then I go and put them into Trello and divide them up by task, like projects, I guess.
Yeah.
But it took me many years to figure out that exact system. It would be so cool, um, to like have that kind of handed to you. So that's really cool that you get to help your clients do that. Do you have any like common pitfalls that you see happening when helping people in their beginning phases of time management?
Inconsistency. Easy way to say it. The like starting to do something and then the day doesn't go as planned, so you just throw the baby out with the bathwater and you're just like, I can't be productive. I can't make to-do lists. I can't stick with this. And you're like, it was one day. It's kind of like you ate a cookie. Does that mean your whole diet is really blown? So the extremes of like not wanting to stick or not feeling like they can stick with it because there was a snafu in the day and the day didn't occur how they wanted it to go. And
Yeah.
so getting them reined back in to realize that it was just a moment. It's okay. Did you get any of the other things done that you wanted to get done? How did that look? How did it work out when you got those things done? I get that this roadblock feels bad, but how did all those other good things feel?
I love that. This transitions so well too, because here on the Do the Dang Thing podcast, we talk not just about doing the thing, but also the mindset of what you need to be doing, what you need to think, how you need to feel, the actions you need to take in order to do the thing. And sometimes we do have a snafu, and it's like, oh, it's so debilitating. And our brain loves to focus on the things that we do wrong. And so on Fridays, we celebrate. And I must say, since we've been friends on Instagram, you have put something in the celebration box every single Friday. So I'm proud of you for that. Do you do any sort of like celebration for when you do the thing for your clients?
Well, for the clients. I say for me, Asana, when you click complete, the little unicorn flies across.
I did not know that. What about so that's for you. What about for your clients?
Typically, we check in, and so we see how they're going. And so for me, it's about celebrating their wins. I guess I don't do a big like celebration. Like we talk about like how did it feel? What can you do better? Like what did you enjoy about this process? Because sometimes you get things done and you're like, yay, I got it done, but it didn't feel good getting it done. So I also make sure to check in to figure out, did you enjoy this process of getting to this completion to make sure that are there things that we need to change to make you want to keep doing it and finish and not just so you get that completion box at the end. So I guess I check in with them to find and figure out what was the ease or the hurdles in getting to that completion so we can make sure that we make it enjoyable. Because my thing is like, I want you to enjoy planning. I want you to enjoy getting things done. I want you to enjoy the feeling of completion and the celebration of it. But sometimes we get to the end of things and we didn't like how we got there, but we said we did it. So it's not as big of a celebration or as much enjoyment out
Mm.
of it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective there. I think definitely building in those celebrations is the helpful thing that keeps you going day after day after day. And I love the idea of adjusting the process, falling in love with the process in order to become the person that gets the things done. I think that's so, so great. Okay, so I know some people that are listening to this episode are going to say, okay, that sounds so great to like write down my everything in my brain and organize it and start to try to check things off, but I'm really not sure, Coach Lee, if this is going to work for me. Can you discuss maybe a couple of mindset shifts that could help the listeners actually implement some of these tips and tricks that you've given them today?
Well, first you have to believe that it's going to work because if you don't believe it's going to work, it's not going to work. So first, change the thought. Let's say it's going to work. But start small. It's not about doing a complete overhaul of whatever system you have, whatever to-do list you do or don't have, your calendar. It's about starting small. Like you were saying, those celebrations, celebrating those small wins of like, I made a to-do list. I might not have stuck to it, but I made it. Then we can work on like doing the things that are on the list. So for me, it's about starting small, because I love to say like I'm all about helping you to find what works for you, because what works for me might not work for you. And ultimately, I don't care if my system doesn't work for you, but if you found one that does, let's find that. So start small and be willing to take those small steps and get out of the comfort zone to figure out what it is that works for you. Don't be so stuck on what I do, what you do, what they do. Focus on what works for you, and in finding what works for you, that's where the joy of getting things done and enjoying the process is going to come into play, because you'll want to do something that works for you as opposed to doing something out of, I don't even want to say habit, out of force, because somebody told you that you had to do this and you didn't really want to and you didn't find joy in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the mindset shift there could be like, I'm able to find something that works for me.
Yes.
Instead of, oh, I need to do it this way, try on the thought, I'm able to find something that works for me, a system that works for me. Any other tips or tricks that you would like to share about time management, accountability?
Less is more. We can do, you can do all things, just not at the same time. So stop trying to do it all. Like, don't put that many things on your to-do list. There's only so many hours in the day. And if you're working full time and have this business, the amount of time that you have outside of work, outside of business, outside of life to get things done is obviously minimized in each of the areas, depending on, how much time you have to spend in each of them. So less is more. I like to put less things on my to-do list to get them done, and then go back to that master to-do list to figure out what else I can pull from and get done. And then I feel like doubly celebrated. I got everything done that I wanted to get done for the day, and I got to jump on tomorrow, the next day, something for next month. So start small. Don't try to become a productivity guru overnight. It won't happen. Like, honestly, I'm not a productivity guru. Like, I get a lot done. I can get things done. I can be productive, but there's still things that I'm learning, systems and tweaks that I'm still making, even within this last month. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think your system is always going to evolve with the season that you're in. And I really love the idea of like putting less on your to-do list. And then if you do go back to the master list, getting more done. Like that, how satisfying is that?
Yes.
So, on this podcast, I like to leave listeners with one action item that they can go out and do this week. Something small that they can, at the end of the episode, when they're taking their headphones off, say, oh my gosh, this is the thing I need to do after listening to this episode. So, what is one action that they can take to increase their productivity or adjust their mindset that you'd like to leave them with?
Do a brain dump and/or make a to-do list. Get it out of your head and get it on the paper. Or if you want to do it digitally, voice note it to yourself. Get it out of your head and onto something that you can look at to tangibly see what it is that you want to do, so that you can ultimately do the dang thing.
It is amazing how much stuff is rattling around in our heads. Like, clear the cobwebs and you're going to be able to hear yourself think again.
Very much so.
So, Coach Lee, I hear that you have a masterclass coming up all about morning routines. Um,
Yes.
I think I need that. So, can you fill us in on all the details of that?
Yes, it is going to be the last Saturday of the month of March. What is that? March 29th, I think it is. 11 a.m. It's going to be all about creating a morning routine that works for you. I like to believe that a good morning routine honestly starts the night before, but we're going to talk all about figuring out and finding what works for you. Like, what is it that you need to do to set your day up for success? Because yes, we have bad moments. Yes, we have bad days, but oftentimes a lot of our bad days start because you woke up late, you couldn't find something, and you let that thing flow throughout the end of the day. But if you set yourself up for success and start your mornings off right, the day can often flow a lot better. So it's all about creating and finding the morning routine that works for you.
I like that you include that it starts the night before because my mornings are always so rough because I stay up too late and I usually drink too much wine. And then in the morning, I'm like, why did I do that to myself?
Because we're adults and we get to make our own choices.
I think that that masterclass sounds like something that everyone needs. So I'll be sure to get the link to join that added to the show notes below the episode. Also, where can all of our friends, all of our listeners find you online?
I am at legally.me everywhere. That's LEGALLEE.me. That's website, Instagram, Facebook. I'm not on Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. Yep.
I love that. So, Coach Lee, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and all of your great tips with us today. Until next time, keep on doing the dang thing. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Do the Dang Thing podcast with Chrissy Sperduto. If you know someone that could benefit from today's chat, please send this episode their way and be sure to leave a rating and a review so more business owners can find the podcast and be inspired to take action on their goals. Also, I love to see what you're doing while you listen. Share what you're up to while you listen to today's episode and tag me in your stories at Chrissy Sperduto for a shout out. If you'd like to explore more resources like my free monthly coaching call and learn how we can work together through one-on-one coaching or the Do the Dang Thing membership, head to www.chrissysperduto.com. Please always remember that you are not alone in this adventure. I am always rooting for you, bestie. Until next time, keep on doing the dang thing. Bye.